The communications specialist at the Ministry of Energy resigns hours after threatening to release mails to exonerate sacked sector minister. Also this afternoon, government is set to go ahead with the double-track educational system despite concerns raised. We'll be getting some details on that as well. And on the foreign front, jailed former First Lady of Ivory Coast, Simone Gbagbo, granted amnesty by President Alassane Ouattara. We'll also get details of that and more, including sports and entertainment, coming up in the next 60 minutes. Don't forget that we're live on DSTV channel 279. Also get interactive with us via our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. Now let's start the bulletin off with this trending issue following the sacking of the energy minister. Now, communications specialist at the Ministry of Energy, Nana Damwa, has resigned from his post barely 24 hours after the sector minister Boakye Ejako was dismissed by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo over a controversially renegotiated Ameri deal. Nana Damwa, who was vocal in defending the deal that received total rejection from the ordinary people through to the energy experts, threatened Monday evening to release emails to ostensibly demonstrate no wrongdoing on the part of Boakye Ejako, or there were others involved in the deal as well. Now, many Ghanaians are already demanding full disclosure on the deal, which has reportedly been abandoned, especially circumstances surrounding how the president was allegedly misled into giving an executive approval to the deal. For some people, the dismissed energy minister may have acted with others on the deal, which was sent to Parliament last month for approval, but had to be put aside for the government to furnish the House with some critical information. Moments after Boakye Ejako was sacked Monday, Nana Damwa wrote on his personal Facebook page, and it read, "It's time for the emails. Let's play. He is to blame, Abi. He did it alone, right? Okay." All right, so basically what we have here on the touch screen would give you an idea of the sector minister's posturing regarding this particular issue, and this was released somewhere, and this is his personal Facebook page, and that's Honorable Boakye Ejako, and this is what he posted, and this says, "When the dust settles, my side would be heard. Thank you." And so far, as of the time that we got this captured, we had 46 comments and then 37 shares, with some commiserating with the minister. And now, the sacked energy minister has meanwhile threatened to possibly reveal details on the renegotiated Ameri deal. Now, he disclosed this on his Facebook page, and that's exactly what is on your screen right now. His Facebook page, "When the dust settles, my side would be heard. Thank you." So I'm sure we'll be hearing from the ousted energy minister soon, possibly. Now let's do some other stories. A member of the NDC communications team, Sammy Chafee, says President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo must be blamed for the botched Ameri deal. Now, he added that the sacking of the energy minister does not exonerate him.
In a rebuttal statement, the CEO of National Entrepreneurial Initiative Program, John Kumar, rather blamed the NDC for the first deal.
It's so disgusting listening to NDC, who have brought this fraud on this country. The Ameri deal. Today he's praising Imani, ASEP, and civil society for talking and raising eyebrow about Ameri. What happened under the NDC? They said they had a dead goat syndrome. They will not listen to anybody. In the midst of all the opposition and the fraud perpetuated on Ghanaians by the NDC, Ameri is not an NPP scandal. It's an NDC scandal.
Energy expert Kojo Poku stated that both NDC and NPP should be held culpable for the deal, since it was bad from the initial stages.
The Ameri deal that the NDC did is not a bad deal only because of the 150 million.
Right.
It's a bad deal because, one, if you look at the tariff structure which is the 14.59 cents that Ghanaians are paying since day one of this deal, okay, it creates unnecessary burden on Ghanaians. At the time when you signed the agreement, fuel was between $50 and $54. But you gave somebody a constant variable of 8 cents per kilowatt hour in the fuel arrangement.
He asked that the president should be commended for the bold decision he took after consultation.
Well, the chairman of the Tema branch of the Senior Staff Association of the VRA, Prince Oduro Frimpong, says the VRA is not so excited about the sacking of the energy minister, but excited that the company would no longer suffer some liabilities under the renegotiated deal. He was speaking on TV3's morning show, Midday.
We are happy because the deal that is supposed to impose certain liabilities on VRA, as a corporate entity, and the nation, at large, will be reduced, and that is why we are here. And that is why we raise the red flag.
One of the driving factors has to do with the $405 million US savings that it is captured in there that we're going to make. On the face of it, it sounds so, but when you do critical analysis of the figures, you tend to see that it is not entirely true.
Now over to the Education Ministry, where the Minister, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, says this is not the time to shift the rich from, or rather sift the rich from the poor in the implementation of the double-track system of education under the free senior high school policy. Addressing the media in Accra, he said the the double-track system is only temporary to enable government put up the needed capacity.
The first semester and second semester, SHS 3, the first group will come in. They will have a semester is 81 teaching days, 112 school days, but it's 81 teaching days. So after 81 teaching days, they will go on vacation, and they will come back and finish the second semester. The SHS2 would come in. First semester, 81 days, go on vacation with the third years, and then come back semester and go on vacation. The SHS1, that are 1,005, we will split them into two. 750 will come as the first group track, we call it track green. The track green will come for 41 days and have a break. Then when they have a break, the track gold will come to school and they will do 81 days stretch. If you look on the slide, by the time the track gold does the half of the semester, the track red, which is SHS3, and track blue, which is SHS2, will be on vacation. And then track green will come back to school and complete. They'll complete the same day as with their fellows in track gold. Let's check. When the first semester began, there was track red, 81,000 students. Track blue, 81 days, 1,000 students, making it 2,000. The school has a capacity of 3,000. But how many Form 1 students have we put there? 750. So the school is nowhere near its carrying capacity. And that is what we are calling to reduce class sizes. So even if there are more Form 2 students, there is still room for them to go into other classrooms to have their studies. And when the latter half, when the final year, first year students go on the latter half of their 81 days, you realize that actually in the school, there will be only first years that will be there. And there are only 1,500. And the school has a capacity of 3,000. So no matter how you look at it, at any time T, the school's carrying capacity is not breached, and you continue to have more spaces to create better class sizes and enhance teaching and learning in the various schools. This will continue into the second semester.
Now let's stay on this particular issue because the Ghana Growth and Development Platform, GGDP, has waded into the ongoing debate regarding the double-track enrollment program for secondary education in Ghana. In a statement dated August 6, 2018, the organization maintains although it has no opposition whatsoever towards the implementation of the double-track SHS program and agrees that it will lead to increase in enrollment, reduced class sizes, and also make a difference in infrastructure, it does foresee a major challenge in its implementation regarding the year 2021 when the single line actually gets out of the system. And I've been joined in the studio by the Director of Research, Ernest Amwabing Austin. Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us on Midday Live.
Good afternoon.
Right. Now, first of all, I believe you probably have an idea of what the Education Minister talked about during the presser earlier today. And where did his explanations in any way give you a satisfactory answer to some of the issues that you raised in your press release?
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, I listened to the Minister, and I think he is giving a very elaborate explanation of how the system is going to roll out. But we have issues with a 16-week period. The reason why we have this issue is that if you look at the implementation plan, the Minister says the gold track will start, then they will go home, then the green will come on stream, and then after 1 month or after the 40 days, those who are in SHS2, they go on vacation. So when they go on vacation, then the track 1 will come back and take their place. So that's where we have an issue with, because the system has been designed to piggyback on the vacation of those who are running the single track. So our concern is that when those running the single track leave the system, it's going to create a big problem because there will be no vacations for the double track system to take advantage of. So that is going to create a very chaotic situation because in the year 2020-2021 academic year, you're going to have a situation where in SHS3 there will be 2 tracks. In SHS2 there will be 2 tracks. And then in SHS1, there will be 2 tracks as well. So now the question is, whose vacation are you going to take advantage of? Remember, as I said, the design now is premised on the vacation of those on single track. So when they leave the system, what then will happen to the entire program? So what we are saying is that if the ministry wants to prove us wrong, they should give us a calendar of how 2020-2021 will look like. Once we get that calendar and we are satisfied that it will roll out perfectly, we will have no issue at all, because we have stated that indeed we support the double track system, except that we think the 16-week period is too much. We have a proposal. Our proposal is that we should cut it to 12 weeks. If we did that, what will happen is that there will be no need for you to piggyback on anybody's vacation. The system can run on its own. The only difference will be that you have to then increase the number of years from 3 years to 4 years. If you do that, you eliminate the problem of you having to provide infrastructure in the next 18 months. Remember, the minister said the government has no money now to 1 billion Ghana cedis to acquire new infrastructure. And when you are saying that if you increase the years to 4 years, cut the period to 12 weeks, you will eliminate that problem. So there will be no need for you to even provide infrastructure in the next 5 or 10 years.
So, per what you're saying, if it doesn't go that way and government still insists on the 16 weeks and the 3 years, we're going to have a problem of redundancy in 2021.
Yes, we are going to have a situation where in 2020-2021 academic year, SHS3, they will have 2 tracks with only 1 facility available for them.
Okay.
SHS2, would have 2 tracks with only 1 facility available for them. And then SHS1 will also have 1 facility with 2 tracks.
So we're going to end up back at square one.
Exactly.
With the issue of lack of infrastructure.
Exactly.
So basically what you are proposing, your organization is proposing, is for 12 weeks and 4 years.
Exactly. If you do 4 years and 12 weeks, you eliminate this problem that we are talking about.
Okay.
You ease yourself that pressure to provide new infrastructure. Because when you see, let me tell you, the double track, if implemented well, is a more efficient system.
Okay.
What it means is that, for example, the minister said in the next few years, in the next year or so, we may get up to 600,000 students. If you implement the system well, you can get 300,000 in school, 300,000 on vacation. So you can alternate without having to put up new infrastructure. Okay, right. And then the issue of increasing the contact hours from 6 to 8 will also not arise if you implement a 4-year system. Okay, and then this pressure, as I mentioned, of having to provide extra infrastructure will be eliminated. If you are not careful, if you build extra classrooms on the various campuses, you're going to create congestion problems. Because where you're supposed to have only 3 streams on board, you're not going to have 4 or even 5 streams on board. So we are saying that government should review the 16-week period. And as I've said, if we get a calendar, we'll be satisfied and will not even pursue this issue. But until we get a calendar from government indicating how 2019-2020 and how 2020-2021 will go, we will still keep on hammering on this particular issue.
All right. So the key basic things that you've highlighted here, you are suggesting that government adopt a 12-week system for 4 years as opposed to the 3 years.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, well, I guess that pretty much sums it up. And we'll be looking at exactly what some other people might be saying to this particular recommendation. And mind you that the GGDP has also recommended that government conducts in-depth stakeholder consultation further as opposed to what is being done now. I was in the studio joined by the Director of Research, Ernest Amwabing Austin. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Midday Live.
Thank you, too.
All right. Now, let's move away from issues regarding education and do the story. The headquarters of the Melcom Group of Companies came under mob attack after an industrial accident at Centuries Industries, a subsidiary of Melcom Group of Companies, left a 19-year-old outsourced laborer dead. The accident prompted an attack by some persons believed to be family and friends of the deceased, while workers agitated outside the premises. The news team was there at the scene, and here's the report. Security was tight when the news team arrived at the scene. Speaking off camera, the Kaneshie District Police Commander, Superintendent Ernest Champong, said his team arrived at the scene just after 2 p.m. and after a mob which claimed to be members of the victim's family. He added some staff and police personnel were assaulted, while vehicles on the compound were vandalized. But the agitating workers were, however, easier to control. The gates of the company were locked, with management initially refusing to shed light on what had transpired earlier. However, the communications director for the Melcom Group of Companies, Godwin Avenogbo, spoke to the news team via phone.
There are certain things that we know in terms of material, equipment, and so on, and these are heavy sometimes, so they are placed on cranes that are moved, and these are moved on rails. The crane missed one rail, and then that was what happened. And all the staff ran away to safety. The person who was hit got badly injured, was rushed to Cocoa Clinic. The family was called immediately when the accident happened, and so they rushed and met the Century Industries Limited leadership at Cocoa Clinic. So actually they were there when the announcement was made that he had finally lost his life. As the unfortunate incident that happened today.
He urged staff members as well as the victim's family to remain calm in this trying time. The deceased has been identified as 19-year-old Abdul Nasir Adam. Abdul Nasir Adam served as an outsourced contract laborer for the manufacturing company for barely a month before his death. Solis Rose Quarte, reporting for TV3, Accra. Now let's go back to earlier story, which is actually a trending story. Now, following the sack of the Energy Minister Boakye Ejako by the President, he threatened on his Facebook page that he would be releasing some names, telling his side of the story when the dust settles. And he added that there's a thank you. Of course, that was followed by the resignation of the communications specialist at the Energy Ministry, that's Nana Damwa as well. And right now we want to talk to Edem Senanu. He is an anti-corruption campaigner and he's joined us via Skype. Good afternoon, Edem Senanu. Many thanks for joining us on Midday Live.
Good afternoon.
Right. Now, do you think there might exist an element of corruption, being pushed by some stuff, as is being pushed by some stuff of the VRA?
Well, I mean, there's every reason to want to establish what exactly has transpired here and how come it appears that such a deal should even be endorsed by the minister in the first place. So yes, there is the likelihood that something may have gone wrong. There may be some inflation of figures, and so it is worth investigating so that all of us have clarity as to whether some other underhand dealings have occurred.
Right, and now the Energy Minister on his Facebook page made it known that he was going to, when the dust settles, he was going to tell his side of the story. And now one would assume that some names might be dropped. And could this, send a bit of a shake through the system as we are seeing it now, considering everything that has happened regarding the renegotiated Ameri deal and the speculation surrounding it? Right, we'd like to apologize for that technical hitch. We're trying to get Edem Senanu on the line again and pick his thoughts on this particular issue. But before that, let's do some other stories. The two Electoral Commission staff who petitioned the President to remove Charlotte Osei as EC boss have filed a petition at the Office of the Special Prosecutor requesting that the dismissed EC boss be prosecuted for causing financial loss to the state. Forsen Ampofu and Godsway Dajo in their petition cited the Overate, STL, Dream Mover, and Quasar contracts and Charlotte Osei's tenure as suspicious deals.
Of the Commission also requested that criminal investigations be instituted against the former EC chairperson. They also want the acquisition of a new head office for the Commission to be investigated. President Akufo-Addo on June 28 removed Charlotte Osei and her two deputies, Amadou Sule and Georgina Opoku-Amankwa, from office upon the recommendation of a committee set up by the Chief Justice to investigate separate complaints brought by some Ghanaian citizens. Charlotte Osei was accused of various procurement breaches, whilst her deputies were also found guilty of the same offences as well as financial malfeasance. The staff of the EC first petitioned President Nana Akufo-Addo in July last year to remove Charlotte Osei from office over allegations of fraud and financial malfeasance as well as abuse of office. Some of the allegations involved the unilateral award of contracts by the former EC boss in the run-up to the 2016 general elections. She also responded by making allegations of corruption against her deputies, claiming she was only being harassed because she sought to introduce systems to curb mismanagement.
On the MTN video report this afternoon, our citizen journalist Moses Kwanzaa highlights the poor state of classrooms at Trefo Ayase in the central region.
These are our future leaders. They need our assistance. This is the condition in which Trefo Ayase AME KG pupils study. There are no chairs to sit on. Students have to skate hurdles before they come forward to answer questions posed by head teachers. The situation is appalling. This burden is likely to collapse on this case. This is the condition in which students preparing to write the BEC 2019 exam study. Some even sit on the bare floor at Trefo Ayase DAGHS. Teachers find it very difficult to teach pupils, which is not conducive for classroom atmosphere. They need an assistance. This is Moses Kwanzaa reporting from Trefo Ayase in the Trefo Etimukwa district.
Well, if you want to be like Moses Kwanzaa from Trefo Ayase, you can also send your video report via WhatsApp number 0551 433 044. The number again is 0551 433 044. You're still watching Midday Live. We'll be back shortly after this. Welcome back to Midday Live. It's now time for us to do some business news this afternoon. The Ghana Free Zones Authority intends to delist non-performing companies registered under the Free Zones Enclave. The Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Michael Ochre-Bafie, made this known at the launch of the Ghana Free Zones Area Investment Week celebration in Accra.
According to the Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Michael Ochre-Bafie, the board has decided to delist all inactive companies. 201 companies are currently registered under the enclave, of which 120 are functional.
We can only determine whether a free zone company is active or not by how many exports is able to do within a year. You cannot just decide to not to do export and still be a free zones company. Some companies are just on paper like that. They have never done even one export before.
He said companies which fail to submit their quarterly returns will pay a $2,000 fine.
And for that matter, I can say that we are applying these sanctions strictly. Because over the years, some people will be owing us millions of dollars and they'll come and we'll still process their things for them. Where can you find this? If the business is your business, can you run it like that?
The CEO hinted the authority would recommend the review of the Free Zones Act of 1995, which enabled the establishment of free zones to promote economic development, provide for the regulation of its activities and related purposes. The authority was instituted in August 1995.
An all-girls robotics team made up of students from the Wesley Girls Senior High School in Cape Coast will represent Ghana at the International First Global Robotics Challenge 2018. The competition, which is geared towards inspiring leadership and innovation in young people in the fields of science and technology, will take place in Mexico.
First Global, organizers of the annual International Robotics Competition for high school students, have accepted Ghana's participation in the First Global Challenge 2018. The competition will take place between August 15 and 18 in Mexico. Participants from more than 160 countries will solve energy efficiency problems with robots created by students. In an interview with TV3, Foriwa Abosechi, team leader of the Ghana All-Girls Robotics team, shared the motivation of the team.
Our robot is supposed to help in the production of energy because most tasks feel like nuclear energy those days. You can't have a human being venturing into those days. So you have to make maybe a robot like the one we built to do those things. So this competition is centered on energy impact.
Delis Anand, the robotics builder, also shared some of the challenges the team encountered.
We have to fund the trip to Mexico, and yeah, we've had a bit of trouble funding it, but then we're still working on it, getting sponsorship and everything.
The Energy Impact Competition, intended to improve the environment, will host teams consisting of up to 5 high school students.
Well, that's all for business news for this afternoon. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. Let's do some more stories this afternoon. The Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association has expressed concerns about the delay in reaching the association on the update of a stakeholders meeting on the management and the operationalization of the alignment of the national digital terrestrial television infrastructure. The association states in a letter that the meeting with the Ministry of Communications since February 2018, which has not received any updates from the ministry, is impacting negatively on the broadcasting industry. Now, they called on the government and the regulator to be clear and firm on the processes, and also to define concrete, equitable and fair roadmap with timelines and agreed policy timelines so that the broadcasters can plan appropriately. The letter also states that GIBA is aware that government, through the Ministry of Communication, has contracted a Ghanaian technology entity, KNET Limited, to build a DDT infrastructure for Ghana, which the ministry announced that Ghana will experience digital terrestrial television switch on nationwide by the second quarter of 2018. Now, which deadline has elapsed. Now, GIBA therefore calls for an urgent renewal of start discussions, a clear, transparent update of the status of the project and the commissioning dates and in various cities. So that gives you an idea of the breakdown of the press statement from the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association. I have been joined in studio by the president of GIBA. He is Andrew Danso Eninkra, and we'll be picking his thoughts on this particular development. Many thanks for joining us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. Now, what exactly is the problem here? What timelines are we talking about that it seems that we've elapsed?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. We are supposed to be switching off from analog, right, to the DTT, and we set ourselves some time through the process to finish with the process. There are various phases of the process, okay, where we are supposed to connect the existing television stations to the platform and then switch off at various centers to help us get on with business, as it were. Now, we gave ourselves some time past in 2015 to be able to do this. Due to some challenges, due to some inabilities, we had to change the time again. We've been through 2016, we've been through 2017, and currently we decided that 2018, in fact, this is not the association, but working with government, we realized that most of the setup that has to be done, in our view, had been completed, and therefore it was necessary for us to switch off the analog, especially. With the analog also is what we have that we call the T1, the platform, the T1 platform, the digital T1 platform.
Right.
We needed to switch them off. If we were supposed to have a plan, we're supposed to have a plan in which we know, especially the industry players know, that this is what is going on, this is how we are going about it, and therefore we are able to plan. We know how to spend, we know how to, as it were, strategize in terms of business and know what to do. Unfortunately, this has not happened. The aspect of worry to us mostly is the fact that there is no communication going on, there is no clarity. You know, you ask questions, you put letters across, you want to have meetings, and you're not getting authority coming forward to tell you what there is, what the problems are.
Now, what exactly do you think is contributing to the delay of the digital migration exactly? What does GIBA
think the ministry should be able to tell us this.
So GIBA does not have an idea
as far as
has the ministry been able to say anything?
As far as we are concerned, the last time we met, the problem was blamed on electricity connection. That was as early as February this year, and we were promised that by March they were going to talk to the power suppliers to connect the various centers. Out of the 42 centers, as early this year, about 20 of them had been connected. 20 of them were up and they were working. And in fact, the other side of it is that we needed even to know which stations they were. You know, for instance, in some places you have about 6 stations, some you had about 3, some are 4.
Right.
So for instance, if Ashanti region, which has 3 stations and one station was not working, it was difficult for a business person who has invested in the broadcasting industry to say that I cover the whole of Ashanti region. When you were analog, you knew your coverage area. If you are switching to digital and you have to invest money in the infrastructure, it should be possible for you to know that, for instance, that I cover this aspect of the country, this population of the country, this geographical area of the country. Now, that is where our problem is. And the lack of information is what is making us sit disquietly.
Now, at the second preparatory meeting towards the World Radio Communications Conference that's supposed to take off sometime later this year, a Deputy Minister for Communications, George Andal, talked about the fact that they can confirm that about 90% of the entire country had been reached regarding the preparations towards the total digital migration. What does that mean for Giba? I mean, 90% is quite almost
the question is, I mean, have you switched on? Have you put the infrastructure in place? We are talking about even the 90% of it is supposed to be the maximum that the ministry has said. The total coverage is going to be about 90 to 95%. Even Giba is saying that no, we should be able to do 100%. It is possible. It is public funds, it is public space, it belongs to the people of Ghana. And therefore, when we are talking about coverage, it should be 100, and we are ready to do 100, and we believe that we'll be able to do 100. It should be possible. That should happen. 90% of it, what are you talking about? Is it that we have the stations which gives you, promise to give you 90%, or that we have switched on, we have tested, and it is working? And so we can say it is 90%. We believe it is not 90%, number one. We believe there are some delays for some reason. We've gone forward and come, and we have done our investigations, and we have asked questions around, and we believe that there are unnecessary interference in what is doing. Some players, some entities who are not supposed to be controlling what is going on probably are putting in too much pressure to be giving some, and we are saying that government should just go ahead and do. We have a roadmap. We have discussed roadmaps.
Are you blaming them, the ministry?
We are blaming whoever is in charge. We are blaming that they are not sticking to the roadmap. We are saying that for not discussing, for not sitting, for not keeping to what we have discussed. That is what is causing the blame. They are listening to third parties who are not supposed to be part of this discussion, and that is what is causing the blame.
All right, thank you very much. We've had in the studio the president of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, Andrew Danso Eninkra. Welcome back, and now to some international news. The jailed former First Lady of Ivory Coast, Simone Gbagbo, has been granted amnesty by President Alassane Ouattara. She's among about 800 people being pardoned. Mr. Ouattara said most had been prosecuted or sentenced for offences connected to the violence that killed thousands of people after the elections that brought him to power in 2010. Mrs. Gbagbo was jailed for such offences and had also been facing a new trial for crimes against humanity. Her husband, ex-president Laurent Gbagbo, is already being tried at the International Criminal Court. And now to some entertainment news this afternoon. We put the spotlight on a 6-member visually impaired band, which has refused to be confined or defined by their disability. Owusurai has more. This is Kwame Nkrumah Circle, an area noted for its brisk business activities. the high level of activity here, the Glorious Evangelical Band, a band made up of visually impaired persons, pitch camp, serving passers-by with good music. Unlike other visually impaired and persons with disability who often solicit for alms, the group has set out to change their world through music. On a typical morning, they sing praises and hope-inspiring songs to spur on passers-by. Excited by the fact that these men and ladies have not resigned to their fate, those who are touched by their song ministrations appreciate their special talents. The group started their evangelism months ago by first assembling talents.
This man, he used to play the accordion. So when I met him, I told him I have boys who can sing, and I'm also good at playing the keyboard. So let us establish something also. And then he bought that idea, and then it came forth.
They survive partly from proceeds from performances.
I have joined this team so that I want to do something. I don't want to be a burden for my parents always.
What are you telling those who also find themselves in this condition and don't know what to do?
They should come and let's work, because disability is not inability.
From a humble beginning, the group now boasts of keyboards, a public address system, generators and microphones, all acquired through proceeds. They have an objective: to identify and groom other amazing talents. Well, definitely an inspiring story, one worth emulating no matter who you are. Disability indeed is not inability. That's all for Midday Live this afternoon. I am Solace Rose Quarter. You can get more news updates on our website 3news.com. Always get interactive with us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. Good afternoon.